Good morning. Welcome to the streaming service of the First Unitarian Church of Hobart, Indiana. We're glad to have you with us here today. I'm the Reverend Patrick Price, and I'm serving the congregation as its interim minister for now. Happy Mother's Day. We are a theologically diverse community of Unitarian Universalists. Together we grow spiritually, build community, and live our values in the world. Many thanks to our technological crew today, James Johnson, John Halstead, Valerie Lambert, and many others for making the magic here possible. Thank you, John, for moderating this process, and let your Facebook and Twitter friends know that you're attending worship with hashtag First Unitarian Hobart. Now, please take a deep breath and join us now in a spirit of reverence. Beginning the service today, we'll have a testimonial from Brian and Tina Porter.
One of the largest benefits of being in leadership was the opportunity for us to go to many general assemblies while Tina was working at Meadville Lombard Theological School. She did a lot of work. I did a lot of getting to go to meetings and seeing how our ministers, UU ministers from across the country work and the great things that they do. And ministry is probably, and having UU ministers is probably one of the biggest things Tina and I believe our church would benefit from. And we've been big advocates of having a full-time settled minister that lives in our community pretty much since the time Roger left, which has been several years now. So that is one of the reasons why this year we look to up our pledge as much as we felt we could, and if we will,
and a little more,
and we will do more if we can. And that's why we're asking all of you to join us in this effort. We love you all.
Love you all. And we hope to see you in person very soon, although we won't be touching or hugging, and that's really sad, but we miss you.
And we ask you to do the best you can to help continue the work of this church. I think it's important to all of you, as it is important to all, the two of us.
I hope that you all during this time have been able to check into church through Zoom calls and Zoom worship, and I hope it's been helpful to you to feel connected to the world and to each other. It's the beauty of this church, and I'm so grateful for our great teams who just pulled it all together and made us able to be together even when we could not physically be together. So that work is hard work, and that's another reason for us to continue to pledge to support the work of this church. So thank you very much.
Show gratitude to these folks that are working so hard to keep us together. Love to you all. Hope to see you soon and to be able to hug you again someday. Bye.
Thank you, Brian and Tina. And now we'll enjoy our prelude as we begin our service. We begin our service by lighting our chalice. Let us say together the words printed on your screen. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life that we share together. Our opening words today are by Robert French Levins. He says, holy and beautiful the custom which brings us together in the presence of the Most High, to face our ideals, to remember our loved ones in absence, to give thanks, to make confession, to offer forgiveness, to be enlightened and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour breathes the worship of ages, the cathedral music of history. 3 unseen guests attend, faith, hope, and love. Let all our hearts prepare them a place. Now, as you're willing and able, let us join in our opening hymn, number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Round and homebound love's perfection fills our hearts with joys and love. Teach us ever to be faithful. May we still that good news prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear them cries of woeful silence, feel our love grow like the sun when we all serve one another. Then our heaven is begun. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to highways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us bind ourselves in union, help our hands tell of our love. With thy natal fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
Let us join now in our affirmation of faith as we say together, love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And welcome. Please join us in our doxology as we sing together in unison. Our message for all ages today is about Mother's Day. Now, everybody, please say hello to your mothers today and give them greetings. But this is also about the first Mother's Day and its connection to Unitarian Universalism through Julia Ward Howe and her Mother's Day Declaration. Now, this story I'm reading to you comes from a variety of sources, including material from the Reverends F. Forrest Church and Lynn Unger, as well as children's story format by DRE Kathy Smith. This is a story about an important Unitarian who lived many years ago. During the American Civil War, someone who became famous for writing something she wound up not liking very much at all, and someone who is not often remembered for her other great contribution to American culture. Julia Ward Howe was a prominent Unitarian layperson, director of the Perkins School for the Blind in Boston, and a popular poet. She was also an abolitionist, someone who worked to get rid of slavery. She was such an avid supporter of the abolition of slavery and the Union cause that she wrote a song that became very popular. So popular that over 150 years later, you've probably heard it. It's called the Battle Hymn of the Republic. The first verse goes, "Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the faithful lightning from his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on." But you might remember best the rousing "Glory, glory, hallelujah" chorus. Anyway, the song has a lot of trampling and smiting and assurance that God is on our side of the war. When Julia was always believing in putting an end to slavery, she also came to feel that war was not the only way to solve problems. And in 1870, just 5 years after the Civil War ended, in the United States, the Franco-Prussian War broke out in Europe. Now, Julia had had enough. She joined a small but growing band of international peace activists who denounced the war as a senseless conflict. Julia Ward Howe decided that if anyone knew how to work for peace, it would be mothers, because mothers understood how awful it was to have your son or husband killed or crippled in a war, and in those days, only men were in the military. Of course, men care about their sons too, but in those days, when only men declared and fought in wars, Julia thought that women at home had a special role as peacemakers. She wrote a manifesto against the Franco-Prussian War, had it translated into 5 languages, French, German, Italian, Spanish, and Swedish, and set out to deliver it at international peace conferences in London and Paris. But because she was a woman, the European organizers denied her a place on the program. Angry but undaunted, she hired her own hall and put up posters inviting the public. Few people came. So she returned to the United States, not broken, but inspired with a new idea. She called it Mother's Day. The way Julia originally thought of it, Mother's Day was not to put mothers on a pedestal. It was another woman, Anna Jarvis, who thought of that, and it was a greeting card company who made it into the commercial extravaganza that we know today. No, Julia, the activist, wanted to draw mothers out of their kitchens and parlors and into the public square to unite as many women as she could in a common cause, the protection of children from war, or as she put it, to promote the alliance of different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace. She didn't call her annual festival International Peace Day. She called it Mother's Day, because she thought that no other group could be more naturally or persuasive to sponsor an annual festival of love and peace. Mother's Day, as Julia Ward Howe envisioned it, would remind us that the whole world would be a better place if everyone might rise to the challenge of motherhood, nurturing life, fostering peace, and giving love. So on June 2nd, 1870, Howe issued the first Mother's Day proclamation, which reads as follows: "Arise then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands will not come to us reeking of carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, the women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the voice of a devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe our dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, Let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each bearing after its own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. So ends our story of Julia Ward Howe and her Mother's Day declaration. It is good to be together at this time in all the ways that we can be. So I invite you to please be with me for a time of quiet reflection. Let this be a time of pause in our lives as we are held by the bonds of this body together in worship. Our meditation reading today is by Amanda Udis Kessler. She writes, "A planet is born, a spark ignites, something completely new comes into being. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of life. A waterfall descends, a rainbow arcs through the sky, the ocean opens to an endless horizon. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of beauty. The stars pierce our hearts, peace envelops us, we are blessed. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of wonder. In the midst of pain, we find our way to hope and restoration. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of healing. In the midst of fear, we do what is right and speak our truth in faith. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of courage. In our aloneness, we seek someone in greater need and offer ourselves to them. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of compassion. We gather in community, in relationship, in friendship, and cherish each other. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of love." Please join me now in a moment in silence, meditation, reflection, or prayer, as you will. Amen. Please join us in our hymn of reflection. As usual, I want us to thank our music director, Jeremy Jacobson, for all of his contributions to our worship services, especially now in this time of separation and virtual worship. What is beauty? Why is it so important to us? And why does it exert such a strong influence on our lives? We have a lot of sayings about beauty, or we say things or hear things like, small is beautiful, big is beautiful, young is beautiful, art is beauty, music is beauty, love is beauty, truth is beauty, and beauty is only skin deep. Now, in response to the last one, humorist Gene Kerr has quipped, "I'm tired of all this nonsense about beauty being only skin deep. That's deep enough. What do you want, an adorable pancreas?" And there's also a Forrest Gump sounding "beautiful is as beautiful does." And singer-songwriter Annie DeFranco exclaims, "Youth is beauty, money is beauty, hell, beauty is beauty." So what is beauty? Is beauty just physical attractiveness? Well, yes and no. We are all subject to the influences of appearance and physical beauty, starting at birth. Studies in the last 20 years show that pretty or cute babies get picked up 50% and also more, first and more often, by caregivers who have not yet learned to be aware of and to look beyond this feature. On average, the parents of cute babies have a greater level of expectation of involvement with their children. And this is a two-way street as well. Additional studies show that even very young infants can consistently distinguish between faces that would be traditionally considered attractive and those that would not. Beauty affects us from the beginning. There is pleasure in our encounter with beauty, whether it is physical or otherwise. I would posit that in many ways that the amount of beauty we attribute to seeing or interacting with someone or something is in direct proportion to the amount of pleasure or displeasure we have from the experience. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. As beings in this world, we want to be seen and to be recognized, especially in this day of virtual living. And we want to be valued for who we are. We want to be recognized by those we give recognition to and therefore value to. If someone we feel is attractive to us gives us attention, we tend to give it more value and weight and respond to it more readily than attentions from those that we are more ambivalent about. There seem to be ratios or types of balance or symmetry of elements or features that seem to consistently and universally be attractive to human beings. Those that relate to physical beauty seem to have deep biological bases. Studies in body and facial symmetry have been very much in vogue among psychologists and biologists studying human courtship and relationships. They consistently find that those who are physically more symmetrical seem to be those that others rate as more attractive, even beautiful, and at least initially more desirable. But those of us who are more symmetrically challenged and impaired should not despair. The same researchers tend to find that the more symmetrical or physically better put together tend to also have higher rates of relationship fragility and infidelity, and mainly because of the increase in opportunities due to their attractiveness. As most people move beyond initial physical encounters, other characteristics begin to define attractiveness and beauty. These include creativity, intelligence, humor, and trustworthiness, regardless of gender or orientation. Some researchers tend to feel that these qualities seem to indicate greater internal balance, especially psychologically. This all seems to indicate an equating of attractiveness to health, whether it is physical or the more profound healthiness of personality and mind. Based on this, it is reasonable to say that which is in balance or harmony and is healthy is also attractive and beautiful. Now, I'm intrigued by this linkage of beauty to attractiveness, which is often based on symmetry, balance, and healthiness. These all seem to me to be elements of what we know on a more intuitive level as harmony. The Navajo peoples of the American Southwest refer to their traditional way of life as the beautiful way. And by beauty, they mean a way of being that is in harmony with the universe as they perceive it to be and know it through their traditions. Much of what is called healing in shamanic cultures around the world is more attuned to a concept of healing as a way of creating or restoring harmony within the person and within the larger cosmic order, as much or more as it is about curing ills. Given this, then, beauty is a way of expressing the qualities and the state of being which are attractive to us, because they appeal to our sense of and our need for balance and harmony within ourselves and in our relationship to the world. The pleasure we feel in relationship to beauty, and which we even may use as a measure of beauty, is the result of a restoration of a sense of harmony, or at the least a temporary filling of a need or longing that we have. As the Navajo prayer says, beauty is before me and beauty behind me. Above and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it. And in old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty, it is begun. In beauty, it is ended. One of my undergraduate professors many years ago offered me solace to a disappointment he had to share with me by telling me that there is always hope for those who love truth and beauty. This is also heard in Albert Einstein's comment that the ideals which have lighted my way and time after time have given me new courage to face life have been kindness, beauty, and truth. And art critic William Hazlitt writes that the contemplation of truth and beauty is the proper subject for which we are created, which calls forth the most intense desires of the soul, and of which it never tires. Why should beauty so consistently be put in the company of such an important concept as truth? We usually assume the great value of truth, and in part the pairing of beauty with truth lends a certain comparable value to beauty. That, as it may be, I feel that there is a certain basicness about truth and our need for it for our own security. Our need for truth is our need to know what really is, what is really real for us, in order to know how we are to be and how we fit in the universe. Who we are and where do we stand? Once we know what that relationship is or should be, we then desire to be in harmony with it, to walk quietly the beautiful path. To live a beautiful life is to have a fuller sense of what the reality of the universe is and try to live in harmony with it. Beauty, beyond our biological attractions, as powerful as they are, what is ultimately beautiful, desirable, or attractive is in many ways determined by how we understand the universe to be ordered and what we need to be in harmony, in sync with it. In traditional religious language, the question may be worded, how do we get right with God? As Unitarian Universalists, our theological and cosmological truths are reflected in our first and seventh principles, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and the interconnected web of all existence of which we are a part. That which is beautiful is that which is in harmony with these, or brings us into greater harmony with them. Affirming and promoting all of our principles are part of the path by which we understand how we can better walk in beauty. Think about it. How much better, more beautiful a life we have if we treat ourselves and others in these ways with justice, equity, compassion, and acceptance. These principles of ours are not exhaustive, but they're a pretty good start. Imagine your life and how it feels when these are really and truly present, or how it might feel if they were. We all come together in religious community because we are looking for something to save us from some aspect of our lives which is not as we suppose it should be. We are all lacking some things that we hope perhaps to find here together. We do not feel in harmony with how we assume or think or intuit we should be living. The truth of our lives is not the truth of the universe as we understand it to ultimately be. The beauty, the harmony of our lives is incomplete. It is shallow and superficial. We do not feel as full of the beauty of life and the universe as we might. As Unitarian Universalists, like most people of faith, we tend to be very good at loving truth, but we do not do as good a job of living it in the beauty of it, of living in harmony with those truths which we embrace. Part of the problem is that most of us live in a comfort zone that is part of a view of the world that is entirely different from the one that I've just been talking about. It is the world of the middle and upper middle class in a rampantly consumer-based society that tells us we are nothing without it and the stuff it foists off on us as its solution to our craving for the beautiful harmony, the fulfillment we seek. I want to be clear that this is not about blame or shame or guilt. Rather, it is a recognition of what holds us back as surely as a fly in amber. It's nice to look at, but it's not what we had in mind. For many of us, we can relate to remarks by the comedian Brett Butler, who jokes that she would be ready for the revolution today if she knew she could get a good moisturizer afterwards. But in general, we often feel like a deer in the headlight, unable to fight and too scared to run. At what point will we be in enough pain to say enough and say no to that which deadens us and say yes to that which helps us to be more whole? No one can do it for us. It is not reasonable for us to expect others to have the courage of our convictions. This means that neither a social action committee nor a minister can do it for you. And as a community of faith, other organizations or groups can't do it for us either. Perhaps we can begin by living in conscious awareness of our location in and our ultimate relationship to the universe. This is a big change from sleepwalking that most of us do in our lives. The dominant consumer culture, like all totalitarian systems, wants us to be unconscious of our real needs and responsive to its false projection of our needs. They do not want us to see the true nature and depth of the beauty already present in our lives, so that we will literally buy their superficial replacements. We are told that we need their things to be beautiful, to be connected, to be wanted, to be loved, to have any value. And if we take seriously the truths we hold, then we know they are liars and not to be trusted. I offer that as a spiritual practice or a daily meditation, we make only purchases we need after asking ourselves if they are really necessary, and if they will help or hinder our living out the truths of our faith's values. Even if we can only remember to do this when we remember, I know that it will only enhance our lives. If we are aware of the hopeful truth of our lives and of that which we truly need to be in harmony with life, then we will more readily know and walk in beauty. Beauty does not exist by itself, but only as a quality of our relationships. It requires that one experiencing the beautiful and that which is beautiful to be experienced, even if both are ourselves. In fact, the pleasure and encounter with the beautiful is more deeply rooted in our lives when we know it and experience it within ourselves. Self-knowledge is our primary vehicle for knowing the universe. Affirmations have almost become cliche in our self-help culture. Still, what a powerful thing they are, and a powerful thing to say to ourselves and about ourselves. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. So I would encourage you to look maybe at your own picture on this screen and say together, I am beautiful. I am beautiful. And then to look at other screens and to say, and you are beautiful. And we are beautiful. If we are aware of the truth of our lives and the beauty, the harmony inherently possible in it, then we have the possibility of being grateful. And it is in our gratitude which puts our feet most firmly on the joyous path of the beautiful trail. It is gratitude which is our surest passage into the ways which allow us to live in harmony with the world. It is our gratitude which liberates us and makes us truly liberal, open-handed in response to that which we have and to those whom we are. In it, we know the universe to ultimately be a place of justice and equity, a place of healing, a place of peace and reconciliation, a place where everyone and everything is respected and embraced as the precious strands of the holy web of our existence in a world made more fair with all of her people one. Perhaps this is the greatest truth of all, that to know beauty, to walk in beauty, is to be in conscious gratitude for ourselves, for everyone, and for all that is. In beauty, we begin. Please join us now in our closing song, Love Will Guide Us. Beauty is before me, beauty behind me. Beauty above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it. In old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty it is begun, in beauty it is ended. Amen, and blessed be. Please join us for our postlude and then the extinguishing of our chalice together. Let us say together as we extinguish the chalice, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace and be well.